Hey, welcome to another episode of the Not Scrum Done podcast. I'm your co host, Adriana Marshall. That's my amazing co host.
Grand Scrum Master Scott, everyone. Greetings.
Today, we're going to talk about a very popular topic. I think most Scrum teams use velocity or have used velocity in the past. This should be a very interesting one. So if you don't know what velocity is, it is an optional but often used indication of the amount of product backlog items turned into an increment of the product during a sprint by the Scrum team. It also is tracked by the developers for use within the Scrum team. And we're going to talk about some ways that people are not using it right or ineffectively or in ways that damage your Scrum team. The first way that we see people misusing velocity is the fact that they're reporting it to management. Do you want to take this one, Scott?
Yeah, as you said, Andriana, tracked by management or tracked by the Scrum Master or tracked by the Scrum Master to report to the manager. Either way we go, that is all bad. Something the developers should be using to track their progress towards what? The sprint goal. Exactly. Now, however, in the real world, on most teams, ladies and gentlemen, I do as a Scrum Master track velocity in the beginning because of the title of this channel. Because we know they're a little bit scrum down for a little while. I do that in the beginning because they need some training and I'm trying to put myself out of that task. But before I can do that, I have to first train them. Hey, remember the Scrum Guide says the developers need to track this, and here's why. Scrum is all about ownership. So we want to make sure we have that ownership piece and we want to give that to the developers so that they can really create that ownership in terms of tracking their work towards the sprint goal. So typically I do start out in a new environment, just being 100 with you. I start out doing that, but however, I am trying to get to this place that we talked about right now.
And I think that the real point of this, you mentioned it's used to track our progress toward our sprint goal. When we're sending this to management, our teams begin to start looking at it in a different light. There are some scrum masters and even some developers that will even fudge the velocity numbers, or even we've seen this a lot of cases with the sprint burn down where they're arbitrarily changing it because they know they're being tracked on it. Or then management comes and says, why is it the same? Why is it fluctuating? It's meant to fluctuate. It's just a lagging indicator of what you're capable of doing. And that is going to change when you go out on vacation. You're a person down. When someone's out sick, you're definitely going to finish less that sprints. When there are holidays, there's a lot of factors into that. So this is just a terrible way to measure the Scrum team. Instead of management focusing on velocity, instead they could be focusing on, for example, evidence-based management. What's the current value that we're offering to our users or customers? What's the unrealized value? What's our ability to innovate? What's our time to market? These indicators are actually going to help management help make the Scrum team better. That is going to be more valuable for management to focus on instead of velocity. And the second way is pressuring the Scrum teams to increase velocity each sprint. We already talked about how velocity does fluctuate based on various factors, and it's not an indicator of productivity or success. You're going to get undesired behaviors and jeopardize the quality of work. I had a situation where we had a CIO, a chief information officer, at a sprint review ask, how do we increase the velocity? And one of the developers, in all his wisdom, says, I can make a 3 a 5, but you're still getting the same output. I'm not doing any more work. I'm just changing the numbers. That's not what it's for, although that was a little direct and very straightforward, but he just had that kind of personality. But we all were laughing because it was humorous at the same time. It's like, you really want a number increase instead of actual value delivered. The amount that he's capable of doing at a consistent pace is going to remain the same. He's just going to change a number so that you feel better about it. Again, using it to measure success, pressuring them to increase the velocity, it just goes into negative behaviors for the Scrum team and the organization. Scott?
Adriana, I have a similar story to that, but it was a little bit longer drawn out, I don't know. We felt bamboozled, if you will. And I remember a month ago, before I finished my last contract, we had a meeting with the chief technology officer. You had a meeting with the chief information officer. We with the CTO. Everybody was excited. The CTO sent a memo for the entire company saying, hey, I want to go meet every Scrum team, see what y'all need, see what you want, see how I can be more supportive. And I'm thinking about the Scrum guy, and I'm thinking about Agile. In my mind, we all excited. Oh my God, the organization want to figure out how to better serve the Scrum team. We all excited. And we in that meeting, Andriana and YouTubers. He started the meeting all fantastic. I mean, his speech was amazing. He was all ready to just do whatever, go to charge and just do something wild. And then about the last 15 minutes of his speech, he said, we got to figure out a way to increase everybody's velocity. Y'all are the first team that I'm seeing. So we was excited. We thought he was there because we were one of the best teams in the company in terms of delivering what we committed to on a consistent basis. We have hit our sprint goals for the last 6 months. And now all of a sudden we went from exciting to, wait, what? You want us to do what? Increase velocity? Be like the top team in the company? You what? I looked around. It was a video call like you on now. I looked around. I'm reading the behavior of my teammates, and I can just see like just the air was just like pushed out of their lungs when he said that. It's like, that's a slap in the face. We thought you was coming to us because we was great, but looks like you coming to us because we're great and you want us to be greater, and not so much of an ethical way. Because as we said in the first bullet point, when you tell somebody to do something like that, now all of a sudden that 3 gonna become a 6. The number will increase, but the value of what we're going to deliver the customer may or may not increase. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, velocity is just an indication that we did some stuff. It's no indication that we are doing the right stuff. So there's better metrics out there. I like it. It's okay to give us a guide for like sprint planning if you're using this environment. That's great. They'll say, hey, that's great from this standpoint. If you're a Scrum Master, think of it like this. So if we in sprint planning and we know their velocity was 50 last sprint, and now all of a sudden in sprint planning they think they can do 100, okay, we should be asking questions like, what makes you think you can do 50 more than you did last sprint? Or it could be the reverse. Why are we only doing 25 when we did 50 last week? So to me, it's a great number just for us to ask questions, not to use as a metric to obtain to. Andriana, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a great one, and that takes us to the last one that we have for this video, which is comparing velocity among teams. These are arbitrary numbers that just are indicating what a team is able to do for that sprint. It does not indicate success. There's no way to compare because teams are different. How they use story points or whatever other measure that they're using doesn't really make any sense when you're comparing to another team.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the new person that may be tuning in to Scrum, maybe hearing about velocity for the first time and maybe a little lost. So that person, I want you to think about a Scrum team as a family. So if this family is great at this thing, it's not right, or we do that sometimes, but it's not right to do that for me to compare myself to Andriana and her family because her household and the dynamics of her family are different than my family and the dynamics of my family and are different than your dynamics and your family's dynamics. So that's why that number we can't use in Andriana's case, in Scott's case, nor in your case. So hopefully that helps you, the new person that's coming in, trying to wrap your mind around that, what we just said. And hopefully that analogy helps simplify it for you even more.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. And comparison is the death of progress because now you're looking over your shoulder, you're wondering what this team is doing. It's really a waste of time. We talked about 3 ways not to use velocity, which is to report it to management, to pressure the Scrum team to increase velocity each sprint, and comparing velocity among teams. We hope this helps you stop using it in negative ways and improves your team dynamics and even your company culture, hopefully. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments and you could subscribe to our email list where we send out these videos first to our subscribers and we give additional content. If you made it to the end of this video, that means you have an attention span greater than a goldfish.
Be legendary, everyone, but not Scrum Done. We'll see you in the next episode.